July 22nd, 2013, Kate Middleton gives birth to a baby boy, Prince George of Cambridge.
Very emotional.
Yeah, it's very emotional. It's such a special time. I think any parent would know what this feeling feels like. So
Very special.
In 2015, excitement swept the nation once again as the public awaited the birth of another royal baby.
It's getting noisier now because we know the baby will come at any time.
The atmosphere has been fantastic.
But I think William actually would like a girl.
It was so busy and packed, and there were hundreds of photographers and cameramen and reporters from all around the world. I mean, this was a global occasion.
I think it's going to be a girl because I want a girl.
Prince William has said publicly he would like to have 2 children. It looks like this game changer, as he called it, is going to happen pretty soon.
On the 2nd of May 2015, Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana was born and presented to an adoring public.
She is to be called Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. The baby will be known as Her Royal Highness Princess Charlotte of Cambridge.
I hope they have another one. I hope they have a family of 3. Then we can all meet up again in a couple of years' time.
Well, I think most people who know William and Kate believe that 2 children is certainly not the end of their story, that they will continue to have a large family, at least 3, which is what Kate grew up with, and it's something they both want.
I've known those 2 boys, William and Harry, since they were born. I used to change their nappies. They used to call me Uncle Paul. I've always been there, and I've watched them grow. I'm very proud of them. They're lovely boys. But the public must know William, although he looks like his mother, is more like his father. He's studious, he's very careful, he's very respectful, he's duty-bound. Harry, on the other hand, is a hybrid of the Spencers' red hair and the Windsors, but he has his mother's naughty streak. Harry is the fun guy. Harry was always the boy that would take apart the television set. The video recorder, he would have in bits and want then to put it back together again. Harry was always the soldier, William was always the general. So when my 2 boys visited and they played war games, William had an army that he could direct. He was always the leader. That was his role from the moment he was born.
They came from very different backgrounds, but their paths would eventually meet to spark a royal romance that would fascinate the world. St. Andrews University in Scotland is where William met his future wife, and it's where the basis of their relationship was solidified. April 29, 2011 was the day an audience of millions tuned in to watch the fairy tale couple grace the nation as man and wife.
I, William Arthur Philip Louis.
I, William Arthur Philip Louis.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
Take thee, Catherine Elizabeth.
To my wedded wife.
To my wedded wife.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
To have and to hold from this day forward.
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
For richer, for poorer.
For richer, for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
According to God's holy law.
According to God's holy law.
And thereto I give thee my troth.
And thereto I give thee my troth.
Just 2 years later, the nation was once again celebrating, this time for the birth of the future King of England, Prince George Alexander Louis.
He does love it, honestly.
Their relationship has been played out so vividly in the public spotlight, and they've had to deal with the highs and lows of a relationship any couple must go through. But there is no doubting the sincerity and solidarity of their relationship.
One of the secrets of the success of their marriage is that they do seem much more equal than, say, for instance, Charles and Diana. You had a situation when they got married where Diana eclipsed her husband. People are actually genuinely interested in meeting William because he looks so much like his mother and he is this key senior player and young and fun and quite dynamic. I think as well, Kate has been very careful not to upstage her husband. I think that she's the yin to his yang in that he, although a level-headed, down-the-line kind of guy, can be prone to a few temper tantrums, perhaps, and likes to dig his heels in and knows his own mind. And I think can sometimes get quite angry. One gets the impression that Kate's the one sort of pulling him back and reining him in and saying, all right, let's just keep calm. And I think as well, why Kate's brilliant for William is she has been so well brought up in such a loving and stable family, the kind of family, let's face it, the Prince has never really had, that's hugely grounding for him. And actually her middle classness and her lack of aristocratic airs and graces and the fact that she isn't royalty is no bad thing, because it dilutes the royal family a little bit and it reminds this man who has been brought up knowing nothing else but royal life what real life is like.
They are an incredibly down-to-earth couple. I remember meeting them together as a couple for the very first time on the day the palace announced that they were getting married. And a few journalists were invited to go to St James's Palace and have a cup of tea with them. Well, that's not an offer you get very often, so of course we jumped at the invite. And I think everyone was terribly nervous, not least William and Kate. I mean, it was the first time they had met the British media. I'd seen them at nightclubs before. I'd spent my time, watching them at polo matches and charting this amazing relationship. But the first time really to actually sit down and talk with them, I remember Kate being very nervous, but incredibly sweet and kind and interested in what we were doing and how we were covering the story. And they both just seemed so well matched. You could see it in their body chemistry even at that stage, and on a moment, fraught with nerves. They were about to meet the world's press. All the paparazzi and the photographers, rather, were waiting next door to take their pictures. But even under that sort of pressure, they gravitated towards each other. I remember William having his hand in the small of Kate's back, guiding her, making sure she was all right. And I think that's what you've seen over the years. He has wanted to just make sure that she is comfortable, that she feels confident and happy in what she's doing. And as he said in that engagement interview, and I think it was such a poignant and important thing that he said, that he waited so long to propose, not because he wasn't sure, I think he probably had been sure for a long time, but it was so that he could give Kate the opportunity to see exactly what married life would be like and get out if it wasn't what she wanted. And, when you see them together, you do see a couple genuinely in love. They're very happy together. They work well together. They're a team. And I think they are great assets for the British royal family and great assets for the country.
What you have to remember is that William and Harry are Diana's sons primarily. Yes, of course, they're Charles's sons as well, but Charles was never there. Diana was always there. She fed them, she was there at meal times, she changed their nappies, she was there at bath time, she read them bedtime stories, she fetched them from school. Charles didn't. Diana instilled in those two boys her hopes, her dreams, and her ideals. So what you see in William today is an extension of Diana. He's chosen someone who will toe the party line, who will do as he advises. Someone who loves him, and he loves her. It's plain to see. They love each other. They have a beautiful young family. This is what Diana should have had. She should have had that world. But the two of them, Kate and William, are determined to push forward Diana's ideals and her dreams. Notice that ring. It's always there. It's always on show. When they came out of hospital with the baby, it was there for the world to see. It wasn't in her pocket, it wasn't on the other side, it wasn't underneath the baby, it was there. You watch that. That's Diana. That's William. That's this couple bringing their mother-in-law with them on their journey.
Ever since being spotted on the arm of Prince William back in 2004, the Duchess of Cambridge has seen her every style move fall under the closest scrutiny. Starting her life in the spotlight as a preppy student, her look quickly evolved as her status soared, and the Kate effect became quickly apparent. Who could forget the royal blue Issa dress she wore to announce her engagement that subsequently sold out within hours? since marrying her prince in a gown custom-made by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, which won nods of approval unanimously from the international fashion press. She has become an ambassador for British fashion, both high street and designer.
I love the blue dress that she wore. I mean, and there was so much discussion about that blue Issa dress when she announced her engagement, and I love that. It was just easy and classic. I mean, that's one of those things where you'll look back 10, 15, 20 years from now and think, she was so pretty and she was so beautiful when they announced her engagement. That's all I wanted to see. I mean, she was glowing.
The Issa engagement dress, for me, I felt there would have been some thought gone into that. Again, it's not insanely expensive. It wasn't fabulously ornate. It was plain, elegant, and chic. And it sent quite a clear message, I think, about them being quite a young, modern royal couple. And not some jewelled thing that had taken 6 months to make from a very old Paris design house, you know. So yeah, I'd be very surprised if there wasn't someone sort of, you know, maybe whispering in her ear about what might be the right look to go for. And of course, you know, Princess Diana had that as well.
Kate is incredibly attractive, beautiful girl. She has model looks, a model figure, and she's going to have designers bending over backwards to wear their clothes, and she probably will become a style icon like Diana. It'll be difficult for her not to.
I mean, anyone whoever married Prince William was always going to be compared to Diana, and you know, whoever is going to be in that role will eventually turn themselves into a fashion icon. I mean, they've got access to the best hair, makeup, designers and jewelry in the world, so there's no way that you know that wouldn't happen. I mean, Prince William's a good-looking guy. He was never going to marry an ugly girl.
Well, I think there's only good when we're talking about Kate Middleton. I think it's exciting that we have such a young, positive role model in today's society when there are so many young, negative role models that young people can be following.
I look at Kate Middleton and she really is, you know, I hate to say it, but she really is like the every girl, and I think that's what's so inviting about her, you know. I look at it and I think, you know, she's great. I don't need her to break new rules in the world of fashion. I don't want her to break new ground. I just want her to look beautiful and gorgeous and happy, and I think that's what she really looks.
I think she has the makings of sort of iconic style, really, as some of the other sort of great 20th century British royal ladies have had, in the sense that I think that she has a very strong style that's already emerged. I mean, these kind of solid colours and those sort of jersey dresses that accentuate her figure, her rather wonderful figure, and there's a sort of elegant conservatism to the way she dresses, which is entirely appropriate to her current and future role, and I think there's an awareness of fashion, but it's not too overtly fashion. And clearly, she's sort of shopping at all price points, and is absolutely showing us that you can get sort of incredible things, really, from high street brands. I think she's playing everything just exactly as she should.
Well, I definitely like her sense of style. It's young, it's dynamic. She's got a great body that can wear pretty much anything she wants. As the dress that she wore for an engagement proves, without a shadow of a doubt. And honestly, the fact that she can pull off hats as well as she does is really, as we say in French, chapeau bas. My hat's off to her for that.
I think she can take colour. She should wear like peacock blues and greens and red. She can take colour, you know. She should go and have a look in Lanvin, bit of Roland Mouret, bit of Celine. Definitely there's that element of modern. Bit of Antonio Berardi, all those beautiful sculpted pieces.
I think that she has a real great personal confidence in the way she puts herself together, and I think in that sense we're seeing a lot of people not only paying attention to her as she's slowly becoming a fashion icon, but there's a big road ahead for her.
I do think there's been a switch in her style post-engagement. There's obviously a certain amount of pressure on her to a certain degree. And I think it's interesting that a lot of the wardrobe choices that she's making, she's going for a lot of high street. There's a lot of whistles and wreaths, and you know, it's high-end high street. It's lovely high street, but that's obviously what she's going for, because she wants to communicate with real girls and be a role model in that sense, I think.
It's no secret that William and Kate's desire for privacy is paramount. Normally, they would have taken residence at Kensington Palace in London, but the couple felt there would have been a significant lack of privacy had they taken residence at the palace. They would have been overlooked and right in the heart of the London buzz, with a much higher chance of the paparazzi being able to take pictures of them. When Queen Elizabeth offered them residence at Anmer Hall, it was an opportunity they grasped.
Neither William and Kate are city people. They love the countryside, they love the outdoors. So when the Queen decided to gift Anmer Hall, which is a beautiful property on the Sandringham estate, to William for his 30th birthday, they knew that it was the perfect getaway. It was going to be their country bolt hole, and they've spent the best part of 2 years and about £2 million, in fact, doing that property up and making it a retreat. It's a fortress. You can't get anywhere near the property. Security is paramount, and there's a huge amount of space. And most importantly, they are not spied on. They can get away there, and they love the countryside. They're happier there than they are here in London.
They can have total and utter seclusion and privacy and lead this normal life that they're trying to lead. Look, obviously it's not normal to be royal and have unlimited funds and equally nannies and housekeepers and servants, but at the same time I think what they're trying to do is be as hands-on as possible as parents. William has been delaying royal life somewhat so that he can spend more time as a dad, and Amna provides the perfect environment to bring up young children.
On September 8, 2014, Clarence House announced that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were expecting the birth of their second child. But unfortunately for the couple, the announcement did not go according to plan. As with the first pregnancy, Kate suffered from severe morning sickness, otherwise known as hyperemesis gravidarum, and was forced to cancel a number of public appearances.
Again, it's not what William and Kate wanted. They very much wanted the pregnancy to kind of go a little bit farther along before they confirmed to the world. But again, their hand was forced because of Kate's morning sickness.
Congratulations. Congratulations. How's Catherine feeling?
She's feeling okay, thanks. It's been a tricky few days, week or so, but obviously we're immensely thrilled. It's great news. Early days, but I'm hoping things settle down and she feels a bit better. But it's important that we all focus on the big news and the big international and domestic things that are going on at the moment. So that's where my sort of thoughts are at the moment. I'm going to go back and look after her now.
It's early days, but you must be very excited.
Thank you.
Some women get morning sickness not until 6 or 7 weeks in, but Kate seems to get it almost immediately and to a very great degree. So the fact that she was forced to start canceling appearances meant that the palace was forced to confirm the second baby was on the way.
While Kate was heavily pregnant, Prince William was sent on a diplomatic mission to China, where he met with the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, the highest UK royal visit to China in nearly 30 years. Prince William was the most senior British royal to visit China since the Queen's tour of the country in 1986. Due to the visit, the relationship between the two countries is now focused more on business after a run of political differences over Hong Kong and Tibet.
It was seen as a very important diplomatic move for Prince William. The first time he'd really carried out such a tour on behalf of the British government. It wasn't on behalf of the Queen this time. And he did an amazing job at repairing, a problematic history between the British royal family and the Chinese.
The first full day of his 3-day visit to China brought a visit to Beijing's famous Forbidden City, the imperial palace complex of successive Chinese emperors. He then flew to Shanghai, where he launched the 3-day business exhibition, the Great Festival of Creativity, which will promote British innovation and push the benefits of doing business with UK firms.
Britain has some of the best universities in the world, and we are truly privileged to attract the best students in the world, including those from China. This is not a one-way traffic. The number of British students coming to China grows every year. These students, in years to come, will form a network to the benefit of both our countries, sharing their experiences and ideas and cooperating in tackling the huge challenges that confront the next generation.
In Shanghai, the prince also attended the premiere of the Paddington Bear movie. Xi Jinping and William also discussed their mutual love for football. William, who is an Aston Villa fan, stated he was looking forward to learning about Chinese football. The trip was seen as a triumph. Prince William carried out his diplomatic duties and successfully eased the previous tense relationship between the British and Chinese. Upon Prince William's return to the UK, the imminent arrival of the new royal baby teased the nation, and the world's media set up camp around Buckingham Palace and St. Mary's Hospital as international interest grew. Along with the world's media, a number of royal fans set up camp outside St. Mary's Hospital, waiting for the big day to arrive.
I come from Weston-super-Mare, and it's about 3.5 hours on the coach. They call me the boss. I'm making them clear their mess up at the moment. It's getting noisier now because we know the baby will come at any time. So again, I even get excited, though I've been here regular. It's always like the first time, yeah?
Oh, the atmosphere is great. Everybody, you know, we know a lot of people anyway, so we all meet up at these do's, and lots of friendly faces, lots of press who are very nice and polite and helpful, and the day just goes quickly. You'd be surprised, you know, and then you rush home and then you rush back the next morning and it all starts again. I've been waiting for 10 days altogether, but I don't stay out at night, so I come in every day. Yes, yeah, I was here 6 days for Prince George's birth, but it seems longer this time. Whether that means it's a boy, because they do say boy babies are lazier than girl babies, I don't know.
I want a healthy baby. I'm sure George won't know any different. All he's looking for is a little friend to play with. If and when I'm predicting this, I think that they will have another baby in, say, three or 4 years' time. They're madly in love anyway. And it's good timing because if and when they become king and queen, they will be able to look after each other. And that's my plan. It's always important for the royal family to have babies. They don't grow on trees, they're special, yeah? But at the same time, we need new blood. Simple reason is the old blood is actually getting less. In other words, as we get older, we need the new ones, yeah? And for me, I'm always interested in the younger generation coming in.
I don't really mind it either way, whether it's a girl or boy, in one way, because I think George would like a boy, because boys usually like little brothers, don't they? But I think William actually would like a girl, because he wanted George to be a girl. So I think it's only fair, really, that he gets his daughter. But I hope they have another one. I hope they have a family of 3. Well, they'll be very traditional names, I think. I think Arthur is quite high for a boy, because Prince Charles wanted that for William when he was born, but Diana wanted William and she won. Or possibly James. James is Catherine's brother's name, but it is a very traditional name. And I think for a girl, something like Charlotte or Victoria or Elizabeth, those sort of traditional names.
So the name game's where it's at. Alice has been the big mover over the last couple of weeks. Was a massive 33-1, heavily backed into 6-4. By far the most backed girls' name. Elizabeth, Charlotte, Victoria, they've been the staple favourites for the girls over the last, 2-3 months really. No surprise there. On the boys' side, again, nothing too, standoutish. James, Arthur, Henry, Philip. They're looking good value to me. 16-1, 25-1, into 33s. Remember, this is a 2-horse race. The majority of our punters are convinced it's a girl. 80% of the serious money is for a girl. That seems a little bit crazy to me. I think there's value in a boy's name.
On this day, the 2nd of May, in the year 2015, we welcome with humble duty the second born of their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. The Princess is fourth in line to the throne. May our Princess be long-lived, happy and glorious, and one day long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
On the 2nd of May, 2015, at 8:34 a.m. local time, the Duchess gave birth to a daughter who weighed 8 pounds and 3 ounces at St. Mary's Hospital, London. The following evening, London landmarks such as Tower Bridge, London Eye, and the Trafalgar Square fountains were illuminated pink to mark the birth of the princess.
I think we should all come up with the perfect name. We should have a naming contest, a Name the Royal Baby contest. I think it's great. I mean, I'll tell you what, actually, my initial thought was fantastic, great for them, but also great to see some good news on the news because we're living in such a tough time that it was a relief to have a positive story in the news and something we can all go, that's good.
Later that day, her name was announced as Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. The birth of the princess was cause for national celebration. A little sister for Prince George, the daughter Prince William had always wanted, and the granddaughter Prince Charles had always wanted. And furthermore, historically a very important little girl, as she will hold herself in the lineage of succession. The antiquated male primogeniture laws were disbanded just before the birth of Prince George. Had those laws not been changed, and William and Kate gone on to have another boy, Princess Charlotte would have lost her place in succession for the throne. With the laws being changed, Charlotte will hold on to her position and is fourth in line to the throne.
And no little boy born hereafter will take that place away from her. So she is historically very, very important.
So when news broke of Kate actually having given birth, I think at 8:34 in the morning on that Saturday, the press obviously instantly started speculating, well, will she leave today? And thinking as a mother, I thought, yeah, she definitely will, because you don't necessarily want to hang around hospitals too long, even if they are the Lindo wing and private and offering all frills. Equally, there's a sense, I think, if you have a second child that you want to get back to your first. So people are sort of looking at their watches thinking, can she do this? Can she have a baby by breakfast and be home at Kensington Palace for tea? And when we got wind of the fact that Kate's hairdresser had gone into the building, we knew, oh, hang on, you know, she's going to make an appearance. And in vintage Duchess of Cambridge style, she turns out in high heels and looking effortlessly elegant, even though she's given birth just hours earlier, which is a testament to her and how she's able to cope. Not only, I think, in the limelight, but just in this, with this pressure of having to present herself in a certain light. And I think, you know, hats off to her. Whether you love or loathe monarchy, any mother out there will say that it was a pretty good effort to look so good within hours of having given birth to your second child, I think.
I mean, in fact, she looked so incredible that there were reports coming out of Russia that she hadn't, in fact, had that baby. She'd already had it a week before at Kensington Palace, as ludicrous as that might have been. She looked amazing. It wasn't exactly a warm day. I mean, I remember being stood out there feeling positively chilly, but she didn't seem to mind the cold. She had little baby Charlotte all bundled up and wrapped up in a blanket and a little hat. And she seemed amazingly confident, amazingly happy. I think when you look at the pictures of her leaving with Princess Charlotte and you compare them to the pictures of them leaving with Prince George, she does look different, equally beautiful, but, you know, she's fully made up. You can see she's had the blow dry. Everything's been very meticulously and carefully planned with Princess Charlotte. There was a natural and very beautiful spontaneity about those pictures of Prince George. She hadn't clearly had the time to do her face, perhaps how we usually see her. There was a bit of a vulnerability about her. On that occasion with Prince George, they did decide to speak to the waiting press, and you could see that elation and that emotion of being a new parent across their faces, and it was wonderful to watch.
Very emotional.
Yeah, it's very emotional. It's such a special time. I think any parent, I think, will probably sort of know what this feeling feels like. So
It's very special.
We didn't get that the second time round. I got the feeling that it was more poised, it was more composed. They were very clear that they were going to present their child, they were going to get in that car and leave. There weren't any words. But, you know, Kate looked amazing, but don't forget she had a team of people there to help. There was a stylist who helped to choose that dress. There was a hairdresser who was whisked in through a side entrance to make sure she looked beautiful. That said, she did do her own nails and she did do her own makeup, so you have to give her credit for that.
After the birth, the princess's name was a hot topic. Charlotte, the feminine version of Charles, a tribute to Prince William's father. Elizabeth and Diana, both hugely important names. Elizabeth, a tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, who will become the longest-serving British monarch in September 2015. Diana, perhaps the most intriguing of all three names. A fitting tribute to the late Princess Diana.
William's made no secret of trying to recognise his mother throughout the major stages of his relationship, giving Kate his mother's engagement ring, and now, of course, his daughter that tribute in the name. So it seems a perfect combination that everyone was happy with.
Princess Charlotte's birth has heralded a new era of girl power into the British royal family. After Queen Elizabeth II's reign is over, the prospect of 3 kings in line for the throne means the royal family will not see a female on the throne for many years to come.
So how lovely to have Charlotte in this role, bringing up the rear. She's rather unkindly called the spare to the heir, as Prince Harry is. But as he has proved himself, it's a role that you can make your own, and I'm sure all eyes will be on Charlotte. In fact, there'll probably be even more scrutiny on her because she's female. But yeah, I mean, how great to have the pitter-patter of pink feet in the royal line of succession.
After the birth of both Prince George and Princess Charlotte, royal commentators and fans all remarked on how good Kate Middleton looked directly after the birth, and how she managed to get her gorgeous figure back not long after each birth. And it all comes down to her passion for sports and exercise.
If you look at the way that she got her figure back after the birth of her son, Prince George, you can see she's a bit of a fitness fanatic. She's a great swimmer. She swims with George most days. She is a pretty good tennis player too, and she does get the opportunity to do that. She plays with her sibling and a tennis coach, from what I understand. So she's very keen in the gym too. You know, to get that figure back so quickly shows you that she is that. But you know, it's essentially she's a very sporty girl.
Princess Charlotte's christening took place on Sunday, July 5th, 2015. The news was announced by Kensington Palace just a month in advance of the special occasion via their Twitter page. Prince William and Kate Middleton decided to hold the christening at Sandringham, at the same church where Princess Diana was christened in August 1961. The service, which took place a stone's throw from William and Kate's country home, Anmer Hall, on the Sandringham estate, was a private affair. Many royal watchers suggested that the couple chose July 5th so that the christening took place before the Queen headed off to Balmoral for her annual summer holiday. While previous royal babies, including Prince George, have been christened at 3 months, Charlotte was just 2 months old on her special day. The princess wore the same Honiton lace christening gown, modeled on the one made for Queen Victoria's daughter in 1841.
It's been used for every royal child since. It got too fragile, so it had to be remade in exactly the same form.
Prince William has made it clear that ever since he left the military service, where he served as a search and rescue pilot, that he wished to continue to do a day job, something other than just being a member of the royal family. The reason it's possible for him to do this is due to the fact that Prince Charles is the heir to the throne. William doesn't have to carry out the roles and requirements currently occupied by Prince Charles. William's role as a pilot in the air ambulance service fulfills his need for a full-time job. He is known to have a love for flying, and his job for the air ambulance service entails working for a private company, Bond Air, which is in charge of running an air ambulance service in East Anglia, in the east of England.
If there's been an accident on a motorway or a major road, he will be the one that flies in the medical team to assist. So it's a proper full-on job as well as being a member of the royal family. The roster will mean that he is able to fulfil his role as a member of the royal family too. So he won't, when he has a royal tour or when he's got engagements to do with his charities or with the military where he's still a colonel-in-chief of various regiments, he will be able to do that.
When I spoke to the palace about exactly how he'd manage everything, they seemed incredibly confident in William's ability as a multitasker and someone who will manage to allocate enough time for everything.
The money that he does earn from this role, he will give back to the charity. He's a multi-millionaire in his own right, obviously, from money he's inherited from the late Princess Diana. So it's a job that he would take very seriously and one that he really wants to fulfil. I think it gives him an added sense of purpose. He and Kate's relationship over a period of time has always had these separations. You know, he's been serving in the military, so she's used to that. And I think it's important that he has that time where he feels he's doing a proper job, as well as the time when they spend together when they are working together as members of the royal family.
Equally, I think because he can base himself further up north and away from Kensington Palace, which he considers a bit of a goldfish bowl, he can enjoy this idyllic life helping to bring up the children, at least in the next few years while they're still very young. William is under an obligation to step up to the plate more as his father Charles takes on more of the Queen's duties. So I think, yeah, for now, that's okay to have this pseudo-royal role, but actually in years to come, he's probably going to have to leave the career stuff behind and focus more on being a key figure in the monarchy.
While Prince William is busy establishing his role as an air ambulance pilot, Kate is also busy with ventures of her own. Since her introduction into the royal family, she has always been keen to promote and endorse numerous charities.
Well, Kate's been very careful about the charities that she's chosen. She didn't rush to take on, handfuls of charities. She handpicked them. There wasn't a huge number of them, and they were charities that really meant things to her.
So Kate's set out her stall that she wants to support, in the first instance, children. So she's supporting some hospice charities, each the East Anglia Children's Hospices. She's equally decided to be a volunteer scout, so supporting children out and about, enjoying country pursuits as she does.
And actually she's been ahead of the curve on most of the choices that she's made. She's put children's hospices on the map, and she's also done a huge amount of good for mental health. It's another cause that she's very much behind. So she will know how important she is as a patron to those charities, to put them in that international spotlight, and she won't want to spend too long away from them. Her aides have been told to clear her diary for the summer, but come September, October, she wants to get back to work.
She's also been involved in Action on Addiction, so she's saying that she wants to help people. She thinks that addiction is the root to quite a lot of society's ills, be it children or their parents, and so she wants to get involved in that. And also, because she studied history of art and is a keen artist and photographer, there's her patronage of the National Portrait Gallery and other artistic pursuits. And she's mixed them a little bit, so she also supports a cause called The Art Room, which helps children, gives children therapy through the medium of art.
Hello, what's your name? Nice to meet you. These are your friends. And what have you made? This is a card. It's a very big card, isn't it? What's on the front? It's a flower. Wow. So pretty, isn't it? And are these all your fingers? These are your fingerprints?
Yes.
Hello there.
Do you remember who's coming to visit you today? Yes,
right there.
And you know they think you're out of Frozen. And this is the teacher, and this is the teacher.
I know everyone was really excited. They mostly thought that she was kind of like a fairy tale princess, so that's kind of what they were expecting, and I think they were probably very pleased.
Oh my God, she seems so classy, like she's so sweet. She seems very warm, like her aura, like she's awesome. She's very, very nice.
just the awareness that she's bringing to the issues of mental health and to Northside are just tremendous. And we're so hopeful that we can continue the relationship and see what work we can do together.
So very much probably could be criticised as being slightly safe at this stage. She's not sticking her neck out and deciding to go for charities that support very, very unexpected causes. That said, I think the best is still to come from Kate.
But with all these charitable responsibilities and 2 young children to care for, will Kate be able to fit all of her plans into her extremely busy schedule?
How she will juggle carrying out official engagements with looking after 2 children, we have to wait and see. They are reluctant to take on 2 nannies. Of course, Prince George has a full-time nanny at home, but it may be that they're going to need some extra help, and I suspect they will do when the Duchess goes back for full-time duties with Princess Charlotte.
Having 2 children under 3 will be quite a handful, even if you have a great deal of help. So I think that it will change the Duchess's life quite dramatically, because I think she really won't be able to do quite as much as she would imagine. George is a handful, a delightful handful, but 2 children is always more difficult, even if you have 2 nannies.
Since her introduction into the monarchy, Kate has never been one to shy away from responsibilities that have been expected of her. And there is no doubt that with each passing day, she is growing more confident and assured in her royal role.
Kate hopefully stepping up a little bit more and taking on more responsibilities in her own royal role and growing in confidence into her royal role. It is still early days, but I think there's a sense that we want her to perhaps reach out a little bit further than she has done. But it's going to be softly, softly. They're in no rush, that couple. People forget William isn't heir to the throne, his father is. He's second in line, so there's still time. And the Queen is still going as strong as ever. So at the moment, I think maintaining the status quo is key.
In today's world, the key for creating any brand is authenticity and really understanding the brand's DNA and building upon that. And I think that's where that authenticity has been really, really key to her, is she is real. She clearly understands herself and is very confident in herself. And I think she comes across as now as a great mother and as a very loving and very supportive wife and a great support for the royal family.
The subject of school is something William and Kate will have to start thinking about very soon. Currently, the family spends most of their time in Norfolk, based at Anmer Hall. That suggests the couple will start looking at preschools and nurseries in the Norfolk area.
So I would imagine that they will be looking at local preschools and nurseries in that area, if that's where they're spending most of the week. You know, they want Prince George to have an ordinary childhood, as ordinary as it possibly can be, being a future king. And in order to do that, you know, this is a little boy who's going to have to mix with other children. He's not going to be schooled in a nursery away from his peers.
My feeling is, though, that with both William and Kate being educated privately, Kate at Marlborough, William at Eton, that they would follow a similar pattern, simply because it's difficult, I think, for someone who's going to be the future king to be seen as just one of the boys or just normal, because and therefore somewhere like Eton would give them, or even some of the other top public schools like Westminster, St Paul's, would give them the peer group that would be easier for them to be educated in, really.
I think the fact that you see Kate take him to zoos and farm parks and Holland Park, for example, on play dates and days out is an indication of just how normal and ordinary they want George's upbringing to be. So he will certainly go to a nursery. Whether that's in Norfolk or whether that's closer to Kensington has yet to be seen. Of course, William and Harry both went to Wetherby Prep School. I'm sure that that's a school that they're looking at. And then at some point, they will be looking to put his name down, I suspect, at Eton. There's an incredibly long waiting list. I don't think there's any question that the future king will be on that list. Diana, she really didn't think Eton was right for Harry. He ended up getting a place and he ended up going and he ended up doing very well. But there was a serious thought at the time that perhaps Eton wasn't the right choice and maybe they would look at somewhere else. In the end, both boys went to Eton, and in doing so, you know, they set a royal precedent.
I suppose for George, William enjoyed Eton so much, as did Harry, that we could probably expect him to follow in his father's footsteps. And perhaps even for Charlotte, Kate left Down House because she didn't quite like it and ended up at Marlborough College with her brother and her sister. That's also where Princess Eugenie, William's cousin, went, so it's got a good royal heritage. Perhaps she'll want that for Princess Charlotte too. So I think we can imagine somewhat of a mirror image when it comes to how the Cambridge children will be educated.
Since the birth of Prince George, there has been an undeniable desire from the British public to get a better look at their future king. In Britain, Prince George has only made 2 public appearances, both of them taking place at St. Mary's Hospital. One on the day of his birth, and the other the day his sister Princess Charlotte was born.
We haven't actually seen him in public that much at all. Yes, he was taken to Australia and New Zealand and he was seen quite a lot down under. And having perfected the art of the royal wave, we do want to see more of his royal cuteness.
Since the tragic death of Princess Diana, the British press has taken a different stance on how they treat members of the monarchy. The British royal family was once hounded and sought after by the British press. Nowadays, their privacy is respected much more by the paparazzi.
That said, you've got a situation with Prince William being fiercely protective of his family's privacy, complaining a lot about paparazzi shots, which is why we don't see them, at least in the British papers, out and about at the park, because newspaper editors have decided not to run them, thinking they're too intrusive. They have been online and they are in foreign magazines, but the British press have actually never respected the royal family's privacy more. So will we see more photo ops? I wouldn't count on seeing him that much, although I think the next set of photographs that will be released will be some sort of family montage of the Cambridges now that Charlotte has settled into the family.
So it's been a deliberate attempt to shelter him from the limelight, but there's a lot of talk that now that Prince George is about to turn 2, we will see more of him. Possibly that might be at engagements like Trooping the Colour, important royal engagements where the whole family get together on the balcony at Buckingham Palace. That would be a very good opportunity to bring Prince George out. I think the couple recognise that there's a huge interest not just in them but also now in their children, that they are international icons, they are famous around the world. And I suppose that by giving the public a glimpse of Prince George and Princess Charlotte on those important engagements, it might lessen the need for snatched paparazzi pictures, which is something they feel very strongly about and they take legal action against. So it's a case of finding a happy medium, and I think probably they're being advised by their aides to perhaps now it's time to see a little more of Prince George. He behaved so amazingly when he went to visit his little sister. He didn't seem fazed by those cameras. He turned around and gave us all a little wave. So yes, perhaps it's time we do see a little more of him now.
For generations, it's been a custom that members of the British royal family serve in the military. Queen Elizabeth II joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service in 1945, becoming the first female member of the royal family to be a full-time active member of the services. The Duke of Edinburgh served in the Royal Navy from 1939 to 1952, seeing active service throughout the Second World War. The Prince of Wales also served in the Royal Navy and also trained in the Royal Air Force. So this begs the question, will Prince George, the future King of England, end up serving for the armed forces?
That's an interesting question as to whether George will end up in the military, because that is the tradition. The reason it's important for members of the royal family to serve in the military is because one day you are head of the armed services as well as being head of state, you're head of the military. So it's felt that it's extremely important that if you are going to be head of the military, that in some way you would have served. And Prince William, of course, has had stints with all of the services, primarily with the army, but seconded both to the Navy and to the Royal Air Force. So it is, but I do believe George will probably have to do that, but times do change and we are in uncharted territory, so things may be looked at in a different way. My belief is, though, as one day head of the armed services, he probably will spend some time in the military.
Since the introduction of the Middletons into the royal family, There has been much debate around them, as before their introduction, a future king had never married anyone outside of the monarchy. Carol Middleton is very much the matriarch of the Middleton family, the linchpin around whom everything orbits.
She's done that remarkably with William's family as well. She is, I think, far more hands-on with the Cambridges than most people realise. When you look at the birth of Prince George, it was unprecedented for a future king to be raised not in a palace, but a regular house. And not just that, but by the grandparents who weren't his paternal grandparents. They weren't royal grandparents, they were Kate's parents. So that was very unusual, and we know that Carol's also been very hands-on with helping with Princess Charlotte. In fact, I think she's only just left Anmer Hall. She's pretty much been based there, helping William and Kate. You know, 2 babies isn't easy, 2 children under 2. It's a challenge, and the couple didn't want a maternity nurse. They didn't want to hire another nanny just for Charlotte, so they were very dependent on Carol. So she's been very instrumental, she's been very important, and I think what she's brought to William and Kate is a lack of tradition, if you want, the formality that you expect with the royals, the nursery being the domain of the nanny and governesses, and you know, the children are kept away from the adults. That's not the case at Kensington Palace. At Apartment 1A, the children are very much a part of William and Kate's life, and I think that's a reflection of Kate's own childhood. And I think it's what Diana would have absolutely wanted. It was what she wanted for William and Harry, and you know, Diana really broke the mould. When it came to parenting, she did things differently. With Charles, he should take credit for that too. But I think what you've seen with William and Kate is they've taken it to a different level, and they've done that very much with the help of Mrs. Middleton.
The British public can be led away by the press, suggesting that Carol Middleton is a social climber. Pippa Middleton, Kate's sister, has also courted unfair criticism from the British press.
What's she meant to do? She happens to have a sister who's married a future king. Is she meant to go and hide away for the rest of her life, or should she perhaps capitalise on this whole fascination around her derriere post-wedding? And indeed, she's got different things to offer that people have bought from her. People have wanted her book, people have wanted her columns, people have wanted her nutritional advice. So I think they're in quite a difficult position.
I know her uncle quite well, and I played golf with him, and he says it's quite difficult for people that are Kate's relatives, particularly her close relatives. You know, James and Pippa have both been criticised by the tabloid media in the UK for going on US network television, trying to forge their own careers, but what else are they supposed to do? That's what they are, utilising their fame, I suppose, but at the same time they're just doing their business. Pippa in particular, I think, has had quite a tricky time trying to find the career that she wants to do. You know, she wanted to get involved in media, then she's accused of using her sister's fame to do that. So it's quite tricky, I think, for them. There's not that many benefits, I don't think. Both James and Pippa are, from my understanding, very social, nice people, and they just want to get on with their lives. But you know, they're always going to be in the headlines if they even put a step wrong, when, frankly, they're not anything to do with the royal family.
But actually, I think there's some admiration for the Middletons in that they're self-made people. They've had their own business, they've brought up 3 children very well. They haven't really put a foot wrong. We haven't seen them giving awful, you know, interviews to the press or really cashing in on their status. They've remained quite low-key. Equally, with regard to Prince George, there had been reports, Prince George is always with the Middletons and not much with Prince Charles. Actually, that mirrors everyday families. If the daughter has a child, she always retreats back to her parents and less often the father's parents. I think people can relate to that. So, of course, Kate wants to be close to her mum when she's got young children who she's trying to learn to cope with. She's got 2 kids under 2. Most women in that scenario would be retreating back to their parental home, you know, before you can say, when does potty training start?
Despite the British media's mixed opinion on the Middleton family, the family remains unique in the history of the British royal family. They've been more instrumental and influential than any other family that's married into the House of Windsor.
If you look at Sophie Wessex, or as she was then, Sophie Rhys-Jones, even Princess Diana and Sarah Ferguson, their families were very much kept on the periphery, and that was a deliberate move. You know, once you married into the royal family, you became a Windsor, and that was that. Well, it was different when Kate and William got married, and when William asked Kate to marry him, he made it very clear that she wouldn't have to leave her family behind her once she married into his family, promised her that they'd always stay a part of the family, and they have done, whether it's joining the Queen at Ascot or being on an important barge within the Queen's fleet at the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, being the first visitors to go and see Prince George when he was born, even before the future King, Prince Charles. All of these things are very significant because they're William's way of saying, you are part of this family and we are going to include you.
And indeed, there was this joint Christmas last year where William and Kate spent some time with the Queen and some time at Amner with the Middleton family. I think William gets on very well with the Middletons. I think the stability and ordinariness of their life really appeals to him. I think Michael Middleton is a straight down the line kind of guy who William gets on so well with. He affectionately calls him Dad. I think there's been a lot of snottiness about Carol Middleton and how she's a social climber and she's pushed her daughter in this direction. I just think she's very proud of her children and wants the best for them. And actually, you can say anything you like about the Duchess of Cambridge, but you can't accuse her of not being impeccably well brought up, as are all those children who had, in fact, done their sister very proud on the wedding day itself, not least James, who gave that great reading in the church. So actually, I think the Middletons are this picture of middle-class respectability that can only be a good thing for the royal family.
The media scrutiny surrounding William and Kate is overwhelming to say the least. Prince William has always been cautious as to who he lets enter his friendship group, as leaks to the press about their personal life is something that has to be taken into consideration.
William and Kate have kept a very close circle of friends for the last 15 or so years. A lot of their friends from university have stayed with them and loyal. You have people like Guy Pelly, who is the nightclub owner, who's recently got married to an American heiress. He has always been part of their circle. You've also, they're cousins too. Prince William's cousin, Zara Phillips, Tyndall, she's now married to the rugby player. The truth of it is, they keep things quite close. Zara's just had a little baby, so that gives them a chance to have play dates together. They don't like extending it beyond too far because the truth of it is they don't trust that many people outside their circle. They don't like leaks coming out. And actually that's worked pretty effectively for them over the last few years. But they do tend to stick with the friends they've had for, a couple of decades or so.
Ever since being pictured together for the first time back in 2004 at the snowy slopes of Closters, Prince William and Kate Middleton's relationship has been put under the public microscope like no other British royal couple. Since then, they've gone on to have two adorable children, Princess Charlotte and Prince George, the future King of England.
Well, in terms of what's next, the next sort of few years are pretty much planned out because Prince William has taken on a new job as a search and rescue helicopter pilot, so we're going to see them based mostly in Norfolk at their home at Anmer Hall. William will carry out that commute to the base at Cambridge. They'll divide their time between Norfolk and London, and they will divide their time between being mummy and daddy and being the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and carrying out the official roles that they are expected to carry out, the charitable engagements that fill their calendars. But most importantly, being at home, being together and raising their family. William said to a friend recently that his priorities were family and flying in that order. And I think the emphasis on those two Fs, family and flying, is exactly where it is for both of them.
And what I find very strange is the fact that Diana's death secured a safe path for Kate. Diana broke all the molds and made life better for Kate. Someone she never met, but she did it for her son and her son's wife. And so now Kate has a much easier life, far easier than Diana did at her age.
I do know that they want more children. I'm told that 3 is the magic number. It's really just a case of whether Catherine is going to be put off having any more because of the extreme morning sickness that she suffers from. She's had it blight 2 of her pregnancies now, and that first trimester is pretty miserable for her. It's not just a case of feeling under the weather, it's a case of not being able to get out of bed and being physically very ill with being pregnant. But I'm sure that is all a distant memory now, and my money's on them having 3. I think there'll be another one to come.
I think they'll have 4. I guessed the name of this child exactly. Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. I knew William so well because William is a traditionalist. He wants to please everyone, and in those names he's pleased everybody. I think they will have a gap and then 2 more. They will have 4 children.
Their story has fascinated the showbiz world and will no doubt continue to captivate the public for many years to come.